Hi. Can we just laugh? Can we just laugh? Like, just what a day,
Audience,
eh?
we are
Oh
so
my God.
sorry. We had a bit of
What
technical
a day.
issues there. The devil's a liar, mate. So
Yes,
please start sharing.
Amen.
We're back again. We are going through with this live. It is happening.
come rain
Share,
or
share, share.
shine.
Rejoin if you're there.
Share, share,
We'll give you
share.
some time to come back on because I know
It's gonna be juicy. It's gonna be
we
juicy.
need to get you back on again. Sorry for those that are rejoining. We had a bit of technical issue there.
We
It
did.
happens.
Very, very sorry.
It happens.
But we are back. That's what happens when we have to rely on internet and we have to zoom from different
Yes.
areas.
You know what
But
it
we
is,
are back.
Happens.
Problem fixed. We are live again. Please
I
share,
think
share.
I think really what it
Hello
is,
again,
yeah,
Ingrid.
is you guys need to have us for a little bit longer. You know, that's the reason why there was that little break. So we gave you a little bit of a tea break to go get your cookies, get your tea, get your coffee,
Get your
get your
tea.
champagne, you know, get all that stuff, make yourself comfortable
Get
again,
your
and we will
water.
have you till much later.
Get your water. All right. So yes,
Get
we
your
are back.
water.
We are back. Build up. Share, share. We are back properly now. We will not have another technical issue.
We won't.
Amen. Jesus' name.
We don't have another technical issue. So we are ready for you again. Should we stream that video very briefly again, please? Can we stream it
I
again?
think we should.
Yeah, let's have it
Let's
again. That was
restream
funny.
it. Come
A
on, let's
University
get
of
people
Chicago
laugh.
study discovered that a third of all marriages end in divorce because of an affair. I decided to hit the streets to ask guys why they think men cheat.
Probably because they're insecure and they're not happy in their marriage.
Get bored or they get tired of the same thing. Like insanity and try to get the same thing over and over and get the same results.
All right, so you're saying being married to one woman is like being insane.
Yep.
Because they're not getting what they want at home.
Why do you think men cheat?
Because they're men. They're programmed to do it.
Not being satisfied at home, maybe? Might be. I don't know.
Why are you backing away, man? This ain't gonna bite you?
Men and women cheat. I think it's part of human nature.
Because I think they can get away with it.
Why do you think men cheat?
Maybe they just get bored. I don't really know. I mean, I feel like if you're in a relationship, you should be pretty monogamous. But yeah, like I said, you probably just get bored.
According to one survey, 57% of men admitted to committing infidelity in their relationships. Now that number may be shocking, but this man explained it best.
Because they're nearsighted.
How so? Could you expound on that?
We always think the grass is greener on the other side. And we get delusional. We jump the fence. We realize the grass ain't greener over there. How's that?
I like that. Unfortunately, that grass is often filled with dog poop.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yep. Hello everybody, welcome again. So we just did it. We just put the video back out there. Hopefully you had a bit of a laugh and you engaged there. But cheat. Somebody went out there.
Yeah, we got you again.
Random people around the place. So yes, everybody got me.
Yeah,
so
we got you
again. Welcome back again. So you just seen that video there showing a few little highlights of why men and why women cheat. You know, and one of those that got me for sure was like, the grass ain't greener on the other side. It certainly isn't. So that's.
I disagree. Sometimes it is, you know. Let's be real. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's you know what, guys? Sometimes that's just an excuse that stops you from finding who you're meant to be.
Girl, say it.
I'm not encouraging anyone to cheat, by the way. I'm just saying, don't get stuck in a relationship if you're not happy.
Yes.
Do the right thing at least. Because sometimes the grass is greener. But if you do it in the right way, of course.
And then, of course, that
we're not condoning cheating.
Comment.
Yeah,
huh?
We're not.
Yep. And then, of course, that other famous comment that, oh, men are just wired to cheat. So
not my man. My man ain't wired to cheat nobody.
So, of course, why not allow them to cheat? So, I mean, like I said before, when we were introducing the previous video, we're not just here to talk about men. We're also here to talk about from women as well. So both angles and perspectives. So that was just a brief video to nurture us back into our life and get things moving. So today we're going to start off by talking about, why do men cheat? why do women cheat? I think we'll start off with the men first. Like, why do men cheat? I mean, obviously, I'm not a man, so I can't speak for men to a full-on extent, but obviously we can speak to some extent. So we know that cheating is a major thing out there across the board in marriages, in relationships, in engagements. There are various forms of cheating. And of course, we're going to talk about the different types of cheating that are out there. But one way or the other, one man or woman has been affected by what they would interpret to themselves. Once again, it's always personal, as cheating. And why men do it? Well, and why women do it? Of course, there are many different reasons. One of the fundamental obvious ones is that people probably aren't happy. You know, people aren't happy with the state of their relationship, because I believe personally that if they were happy, why would they necessarily need to go and cheat? So something has happened. There's usually a void in the relationship. It could be a phase that they're going through one way or the other, that they are not particularly happy with a particular situation in that relationship, be it from finances, be it to the way the person looks, well, be it attraction, which we know sometimes is a key one, no longer attracted to your spouse, be it to the fact that maybe that person don't have no money no more like they used to have, you know, be it to the fact that that person don't brush their teeth no more like they used to brush it, or they don't smell as good as they used to smell, be it to the fact that they're not performing well in the bedroom, they're slacking in that area as well, be it to the fact of breakdown in communication breakdown, people can't talk as they used to talk anymore, there's no communication, people, even humor, there's no laughing in the relationship anymore, everything is just serious and it's just so monogamous and predictable. And of course, people get bored of the same old thing, of the same old phase, of the same predictable routine, in and out. And of course, people just want some excitement in their life, and when that person is able to walk into their life and give them a bit of excitement that they've been missing for a while, of course, that's how the temptation creeps in. And then, of course, that's how we give room for cheating. So, guys, let's ask some of you. Let's get some perspectives going on your angles. Why do men cheat?
Well, I think that good thing is we've somehow represented the men. So we're not just women speaking for men. You've heard from the men. You've seen it in the video. They had a various amount of men saying why they think men cheat. And I think actually, without touching so much on or repeating the reasons that they gave, I think one of my major concerns about what I heard was the fact that men just believe that being bored is an excuse to cheat. And that got me, because, for example, if you are renting a room or you're renting a house or an apartment or something, you don't just leave that apartment and then go to another one when you're bored of living there. You know, you try and redecorate, you try and buy more stuff, you try and invite people over, you try and improve the state of things. You don't just enter into a contract with a landlord or with an estate agent or someone, and then when you get bored, you now just decide to leave. Even if you did eventually leave, there's a way in which you do it. You don't just up and leave. You found another apartment that looks more fun, that looks like it's in a nicer part of town, and you now just leave the one that you're in, pack out, and forget about the legal implications of that or the other implications of that. You don't just do that. So in a way, it kind of made me feel like, is this how free and easy women and available women appear to be to some people or to some men? Are we that freely available that you would treat us like something you can just drop and replace? Like, is that was one of my concerns anyway. I'll leave that there with you.
Yes. So Winnie, over to you. Give us some explanations and some reasons. We want to hear
you guys might not like what I have to say.
Say
it, girl, say it. All right.
Say it.
All right, I have to. There is something called the marriage trap. And the marriage trap is a game that many women play towards their husbands. But their husbands never really wanted marriage in the first place. So they signed a contract unwillingly.
Okay.
But the women have pushed them into a corner of commitment before they even thought about the commitment of marriage. So then they were pushed into a corner, and now they're in the reality of, I have to stay with this person that I never fully agreed to in the beginning. Not heart agree. They agreed with their mind, but they didn't agree with their hearts. And so their eyes and their thoughts are always going to wander. And then what ends up happening is you've trapped that man into a marriage and forcing him to commit, and his heart was never in it. And then you wonder why you're always having to run after him. Why do you always have to check in on him? Why? Because you trapped him into a marriage. That's how I see it. There's, of course, there are other dynamics, so I'll leave it there because I know you guys have a lot to say. So
no, you're going to keep it coming. And Miss Rolo, women's perspective. I mean, give us some reasons why women, why would a woman cheat on her spouse?
I think it's for the same reason men will cheat. But like, I think there's many factors, but I think both men and women, generally speaking, they cheat because they can. It's as simple as that. Just on a basic surface level, they cheat because they can. Now, if we cut a little bit deeper, I think in comparing men to women, I think men, if you ask a lot of men, would they like to really marry, or is their goal in life to get married? I think a lot of them would say, not really, or no. Because a lot of them are married, get married because the woman they're seeing wants to marry. I think that's more it than anything. Is that, I think we've been raised in a society where women from young, have been made to feel as if, the goal in their life is to get married, is to be a princess. All these Disney programs about the princess either trapped in the castle, the man comes and saves her, then they get married, and obviously they live happily ever after. If you watch most of the Disney programs around, princesses and princes, it always ends with the princess getting saved by the prince.
Yeah.
And then, they get married or something like that, they join together and they live happily ever after. And so that goal or that ideology has been set for young women right from the get-go. But I think in modern day culture, women are attaining as much rights as men are now. So the way men behave is not much different to the way women behave. But initially speaking, we were given that traditional, common expectation that, you're supposed to be a wife, you're supposed to get married, you're supposed to have kids. And so I think even in some extent, even though we're modernized, there's still that traditional thing where, a woman is expected to be wifed, and she's expected to be married, and she's expected to, fulfill all the needs of her husband. And I think one thing that's getting left out is, how do women find true happiness without the need of them having to feel as if happiness must come from a man? And so what happens is we're taken from a fantasy realm to a reality realm, where when you now actually enter into a marriage, it's not all happily ever after. There's challenges, there's bills to be paid, there's domestic stuff to do, there's cleaning, cooking, and all that boring stuff that now comes into the reality of what being married actually is. It's not always, a walk in the park. It's not always a high. It's sometimes lows. It's sometimes, you can't stand the guy, or it's sometimes he's being selfish, or you feel like you're being overworked, etc., etc. So the same reasons why I think men can be unhappy in a relationship that will cause them to want to either consider cheating or actually cheat. I think the same thing is happening with women as well, is that there's some sort of like empty space where they're not being fulfilled, and it's the same for men as well. I just think that in terms of how cheating is looked at, men are kind of given the pass to cheat more than women are. Now, I believe that both parties do it, and probably women do it just as much as men. It's just that we are condemned and we are made to feel more ashamed of cheating than men are, because we live in a male-dominated society.
That's right.
So to answer your question, why women cheat, I think it's the same reasons as men, to be fair. But I just think that it's looked at in a more negative and condemning context. That's my answer.
Yeah, and it's good that you touched on that, because that's correct, and I personally support that for sure. And I think most of us here would definitely agree that women when women cheat, it's not always perceived as a good thing. Nor is it perceived when a man cheats, of course. But the level at the hurt, the level at which it's handled when a woman cheats is not handled the best. Well, unfortunately, with the other side, when it is the man that's cheated, women have been groomed or trained to actually let it go eventually, practice forgiveness. But for some reason, when the dynamics change, a man is not necessarily easily able to forgive or let it go. He may try and say he's forgiven on the surface. Unfortunately, that happens. He may forgive on the surface, but he never forgets. And then they keep prodding at that. And as far as I'm concerned, if you keep bringing it up, that means you have not necessarily forgiven the person. So it's like men find it very hard to deal with things when it comes to cheating emotionally. That's where the emotion dynamics change. Whereas women, we handle it stronger. Whereas they say that, yes,
I disagree.
But it's so funny. We don't think we handle it better.
I don't think we handle it better. I think we both handle it hard. And what I mean by that is it's hard on a woman, it's hard on a man. However, depending on how it's dealt with, it allows that individual to heal better. Now, for example, when a man cheats on a woman is broken. Some women go crazy. Some women get physical with the man. Some women, embarrass. Women can do, like, they say, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. I hope I said that correctly.
Yeah,
like a woman can go ballistic. Yeah. I would actually say that a man handles it much better. And the only reason I'll say that, I'm removing domestic abuse. I'm removing domestic abuse from this, by the way. I would say men handle it better because at that point, a man knows whether he wants to be with you or whether he doesn't want to be with you. And a man is more likely to take a bow and go out. But most women, at least that I'm aware of from an experience, most women would rather stay in that relationship, make things difficult in that relationship to make that man pay for what he's done. And again, I'm not accusing all women of that. I'm just saying that it's more known for women to be that, to hold on to that evil situation just to get that one up. That's just my opinion again.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's actually a one-up though. I think it's because women, the only way that women can express their sexuality is in marriage. Because if they're to express their sexuality outside, acceptably, exactly, Miss Roller, acceptably outside of marriage, freely, then there's always shame and embarrassment that's put on the woman.
That's right.
So that's why she feels like her choices are limited. So she has to stay. And the only way that she can actually deal with that hurt is by payback. And the only way she can deal with that payback is by doing those things that you have said that some women do. Whereas men are free to express their sexuality. So the choice for them to leave or to put a full stop in it is much more easier, because them shifting between relationships, them shifting between marriages is not seen as really a shameful act or an embarrassing act. It's actually seen more as him holding on to his pride and dignity, because his pride and dignity is to be the dominant sexual partner.
Yes.
Can I just interject? Sorry, can I just say, let's keep it real 100, yeah? Real 100.
Yes. You know that's how we
ladies,
do.
I'm going to ask you to take a bold and brave step. Okay? You don't need to mention names. We're not mentioning names here. I'm just going to say, on a show of hands, how many of us have been cheated on before? Show of hands. All right, okay, that's quite common.
That's like 4 out of 4.
So
we were not all aware of this.
Next one. How many of us have done the cheating? Who was the actual cheater? Show of hands. Keep it 100. We've got our viewers here. We owe it to them. We can do the research and study ourselves by using ourselves as examples. You see, I would say, just based on what we've just seen right now, it's very common. Yeah, cheating is a common thing. I think everyone has experienced it. I think everyone has. And to be the cheater as well, and it's quite common as well. Maybe not as common as being cheated on, but you could also be the cheater. So when we're talking about this subject, we need to talk about it on both sides. Being the cheater, why did you do it? And also, you being cheated on, what was the circumstances? And what did you do? Did you stay?
Yes.
Or did you
Yes.
leave immediately? And if you didn't leave immediately, why did you stay?
So before
So
you
I
go
think we
on
need
with
to
that,
kind of talk around that.
Yeah. So before you get to that, because we're definitely going to go to that question for sure. That's a key one. That's what we're talking about, the healing process of why you stayed or why you moved on. So we're going to speak about that. But I don't want to jump the gun too quickly. So before we get there, I am going to bring something in that I want the audience to engage in as well. You know, and then of course we're going to pick up 3 key areas which I've jotted down to discuss intensively, as well as any other key points that may raise as comment. So we want to talk about the classifications of cheating. Like, what do we classify as cheating? What is classified as cheating? Guys that are viewers that are watching tonight, there's got a few of you on here, I think about 15 of you or so, a few of you, I need everyone to comment. What do you classify as cheating personally to yourself? I mean, there are some very obvious ones, and I will name quite a few. So, of course, a guy, you know, who slept with another woman, or vice versa, cheating.
Or guy.
Even kissed is cheating.
Yes.
One that we're going to touch on, extensive detail, which we are going to raise on. Flirting, you know, question mark. Okay, social media, we're going to talk on that as well, but I'm just naming them, question mark. And when I say social media, that is social media in the aspect of, you know, your spouse is basically liking somebody else's pictures a bit too frequently. So when you go on that person's profile, all you're seeing is your spouse's name on every single one of her photographs. And he's the one that keeps watching her stories or his stories every time they put something up. So, and every time you walk past he or she's phone, you can see that he or she keeps watching this person's posts or stories. So that's social media. Another one that we said we're going to put on, you know, touchy one, but at the same time, we keep it 100 here. Like Miss Rhoda said, we're going to touch on porn. Is porn classified as cheating in a relationship as well? You know, so those
watching
are
it, by the way, not doing it.
Not doing it. Watching it.
She put that out there.
So there are a few of those things, you know, and then some of you are touching on it today. So, yep, anything you wouldn't do in the presence of your partner, Bobby has said, is classified as cheating.
Girl, say it.
It says when it. Oh, Emmanuel said, is exchanging numbers classed as cheating? We'll get to that. You know, we'll get to that.
Save that for later.
Kemi, back to Kemi. Leave it there. So let me read this out. When it comes to cheating, you are either fulfilling a physical need or an emotional need. There is an issue of temptation. The reason people upgrade their iPhones every year, well, I've got upgraded mine too, when there is nothing wrong with their existing phone. Thank you. Okay. Change your phone. Let's summarize it as that. Developing a relationship outside your current one with the purpose of meeting the needs that are unsatisfied in your current one. This may be intentional or unintentional cheating. Having friends of the opposite sex. So I'm still going into that. And like we said, platonic relationships. Will someone put that under cheating? You know, somebody that he or she confides in more than his actual spouse. You know, whether it be in a relationship, engagement, or in a marriage, he's got a best friend out there. And even though they're not necessarily done anything physical, they're close, they chat a lot, would we still think that, okay, that person's somehow cheating? What other kind of cheating methods would you say? Put them in the comment section. We will read them out. But we are going to dig on some key ones, and I've named 3 of them already. So we will start with flirting. You know, last time we had our triggered conversation, the very first triggered, we got sidetracked when we were talking about the different red flags and triggers in a relationship. And someone mentioned it's flirting. For some reason, flirting got unraveled. And I felt, you know what, we're going to tackle this in another future live. And that's why we're bringing it back to the table. Now, flirting. How do we classify flirting? Is it actually cheating? You know, your spouse is chatting to someone else. He's referring her to my babe, my boo, I love you. You're looking good. You got nice hips. You're looking tight. Your dress looks good. You got a good smile. You know, he's always like complimenting somebody else. He compliments you too, but maybe compliments somebody else quite frequently. Compliments the opposite. Oh, she compliments someone else. quite frequently. So everybody knows what flirting is. I'm not going to go and start saying what is actual flirting, but is flirting actually cheating? I throw it to you guys again. And the slays, flirting.
You know me, I like to ask questions. So I'm thinking, flirting from whose perspective? Flirting from, I don't know, me being in the relationship with the person and seeing that my guy is being friendly with someone and I interpret that as flirting, or undeniable flirting where the guy is clearly flicking his hair. No, I'm joking. Where the guy is clearly giving us some sort of eye contact, you know, maybe touching the shoulder or touching, you know, tickling someone, or, you know, like where there's a little bit of touchy-feely specific things that are being said, like calling someone hun or babes, you know. Okay, I'm going to try and answer from both. So that kind of flirting where you're calling someone a pet name, particularly when it's the kind of name that you know as a grown person that is used for someone who you're in a relationship with, I'm sorry, there's no questions about it. If that's something that you could potentially call your wife or your partner, then that's flirting. You can't call another woman that name. That's number one. Touching.
But is it cheating?
Of course it's cheating. Sorry, of course it's cheating, because you shouldn't do that. What premise are you setting? What relationship are you inviting this person into if you're calling them babes or you're calling them hun, whether it's verbally or you're being touchy-feely with them? That's cheating. And I think from the other person's perspective as well, which is the person that's in the relationship and sees their partner acting like that, I think if your partner approaches you and says to you they are uncomfortable with the way that you are talking to someone. Now, don't get me wrong, this is not, I do not want you to talk to someone. This is the way that you interact with this individual. If that partner believes that you're being flirtatious and you are not listening to them and you're continuing to do that to the point where you even try and do it discreetly so they don't see, to me, that's cheating as well.
Okay. It's interesting that you say flirting is cheating. So Amanda's actually just said, just to clarify, yeah, because I would probably go on the opposite. If your spouse or your partner is referring to somebody as boo, bae, hun, you know, those pet words, or the pet name that he was supposed to refer to as his spouse, to somebody else, he, in your eyes, has already started a cheating war, cheating game.
Started it already. It's already begun. The only difference is they haven't done the thing. You know, there are relationships that people have that's purely emotional, and you're emotionally cheating on an individual. Some of it's financial. You know, you're talking to this guy, you're leading him on, but you have a man, you don't intend to sleep with him, yet you're collecting his money, that you're satisfying this void in his life just for him to continue to pay you money. And if your partner or your spouse found out about it, they would go ballistic. That's cheating. And especially when you have to make excuses for talking to someone in a particular way. I'm only calling her babes because no, just don't do it. Just don't call her babes. Why do you need to call her babes?
She's a friend.
Why do you need her to be in your life by calling her? That doesn't even make sense. If you have to make an excuse to hold on to this individual that apparently doesn't mean anything, whether it's just by flirting, that's cheating, man. Sorry.
Okay, Rolo. Flirting.
For me, I don't know. I think it just depends. Sorry, I've got a bit Nigerian there. I think it depends on how the guy expresses himself, like how his whole persona is, how he talks. Because there's some guys out there that just call everyone babes. You're right, babes. Oh, babes, how you doing, babes? Yeah. That's just their general way of talking. So if he's messaging someone and he's saying babes, and I know that's how he talks, I'm not going to consider that as a red flag or cheating. So that's one way of looking at it. Whereas if it's only you he's calling babes and hun, then I can see why there would be a question mark around that. But I wouldn't necessarily consider that cheating. I'll just say that's flirtatious, which obviously is not cheating, but at the same time, is it acceptable? Do you get what I'm saying? So I think we need to be careful here, because we can't paint all of it with the same brush. It depends on the dynamics of your relationship. It depends on the guy, how he carries himself, how he speaks. But if we're talking about what I consider flirting, so for me, like flirting is, you know, when you're kind of, how do I put it? The best way I could probably give an example would be, I think when you're probably paying someone too many compliments,
too much attention,
and maybe being an extra like physical around them and stuff. To me, that's inappropriate. So if you're with someone and you're doing that, that's inappropriate to me, because that means that you're diverting your attention, which should be focused on the person you're with, to another person. And what you're doing in that essence is you're creating this kind of like insecurity that doesn't need to be there, but it's because you've moved your focus from your girl or guy to this individual that's supposedly a friend. And to me, you've got to manage that relationship, because your friends should not be taking or occupying your time more than the person that you're with, because that's clearly a problem there. That's clearly a problem. Yeah. So any kind of flirting, such as, you know, calling each other like giving that person too much attention, or too many compliments, or even like we just mentioned, you know, liking the person's pictures over and over again, and then when you go on your page, your man's only liked 1 or 2 pictures of you.
God forbid.
We'll get to that.
Really, that's clearly a problem. That is clearly a problem. But I would consider all of those factors. I would not consider cheating. I would say it's like it's stepping stones towards cheating. That's what I say, because I in most cases, when you look at cheating and when you've gone through stories and it's happened to yourself or you've done it, you never just go and cheat. It doesn't just happen. I think it's like a gradual process, and it normally starts with like, I hate to use this word, but it's the only word that came to my mind, grooming. Like you're grooming the other person, the other person's grooming you, and you're both kind of subtly, you know, exchanging these kind of inappropriate compliments or inappropriate gestures, or, you know, just that. It's always a gradual thing. So to call it cheating at that stage, in my opinion, I wouldn't call it that, but I could call it a cause for concern that could definitely lead to cheating.
Okay, that's
fair. Thank you. So Winnie, I'm going to open the floor with you with the next topic, so we move along swiftly. But one of the things we need to watch out, like especially with the flirting, like we said now before we delve into the next aspect, is sometimes there could be a thin line between being insecure and knowing whether or not your spouse is a cheater. And the reason why I say that is because there are some women, and I'm pretty sure they're watching it here, and some women can relate to this, that, you know, your man, like Sheena even rightly, Miss Rowley rightly said, sometimes your man could be a person that calls someone babes, boo, he likes hugging, he might say I love you, and it doesn't mean anything. But you as a woman will be feeling uncomfortable, be pricking you, be like, why? How can my man be telling somebody else that he loves them, or he's calling her a boo or a babe? Is that you dealing with insecurities within yourself? Whereas there's some women that will handle that and be like, I'm so sure, because at the end of the day, I'm his queen, I'm his wife, so I'm all good. I know that he's coming back home to me, so I don't care how he talks with everybody else. That's just his character. Because some people are just super friendly like that. They don't have any hidden agenda. But you as a woman, maybe dealing with it inside you in the wrong way, because remember, you're coming from different backgrounds, different upbringings, different characteristics. So you might not necessarily be able to handle that, but you've chosen to be with that kind of person. Like there's some men that are the center of attention when they step into a room. Some women are as well, and they're naturally friendly. They'll be in the corner laughing and joking, and you'll be in the corner looking at him and thinking, why is he laughing and joking with that girl? Like, why is he not laughing and joking with me? There are a lot of women that deal with that. You know, I'm creating a scenario that when you go to get-togethers and you're sitting there and you're eating and he's chatting with his friends, and there's one girl that's chatting with him, laughing and
touching his shoulder,
and then you're there but trying not to be angered, like holding yourself, because you don't want to go and be too forward, approach your man about it, and he's gonna be like, girl, you're dealing with some insecurities because I don't even know what you were seeing at that occasion. So I think insecurity sometimes can be a big factor. And I think that's going to go on to our next thing, which is the social media thing. Where a person might be trying to track and trace their partner, monitor and see what he's doing on social media, maybe because they're not necessarily secure in themselves. And I'm opening up with my own perspective on that kind of thing. So you might be looking at that woman because there's a reason. You'll be looking, does this woman look good, better than me? Some women deal with that. Does she dress finer than me? Is there shape in more proportions than mine? Is there an hourglass? Okay, then you start getting uncomfortable because you know
is it a
BBL breasts than you? Yeah. You got bigger bum and breasts than you and a tinier waist, and then you have got some belly bulge that you've been trying to get rid of for years, and you're like, nah, something's not right here. Why is he following her? She's too fine. He shouldn't be following her, because at the end of the day, let's face it, everybody puts their best pictures out on social media, whether or not it's them. We don't even know if it's real, but women tend to get uncomfortable. Likewise, I'm sure men will get uncomfortable if they see somebody following who they deem somebody that is hotter than them. I'm sure most women, if the person is uglier, you won't even think twice. You'll be like, there's nothing there.
I have to just say something on that, because most of the time our expectation is when a man cheats that the girl is always like finer. She must be better. She must be better looking than me. But in a lot of cases as well, they're not. No,
they're not. Sometimes,
those women are not always better looking in your, if we're going to talk about superficial stuff, it's not. I don't think when men cheat, they go out and seek to cheat with women who are better looking than their partners.
Specifically.
I think what it is, they're just looking at who's available, bruv.
Yeah.
Who's available, who has the time for them. So that it's not always that they're better looking. But I know what you mean. Because there's times,
social media,
there's times where where we like exactly, like on social media, as you just said, when you look at all these celebrities, especially these women that they're like the finest, top 100 prettiest or most beautiful women in the world, and they're considered like the bombshell of beauty or whatever, and these same women get cheated on, and then when they show pictures of the women that the men went to go and cheat on them with, some of them are dead. Sorry to say, God forgive me, nobody is not real, but according to the comments that people say about what the woman looks like, these women that they're cheating on are just normal, in quotes, normal women that are not necessarily considered better looking, but men will just cheat on whoever is available. It's not necessary to do it looks all the time.
I don't know if it's I don't know if it's about if the woman's just available, and whether if it's that the woman has to be beautiful. I think that she does have to fulfill a certain criteria. And one of the criteria might be, she might have to be physically more beautiful than his wife or his girlfriend. But the second thing is, to what extent will she go in sexual acts? Is he?
That's what I mean by being available.
Okay.
That's what I mean.
That's what you mean.
I think that's right. There's a saying that I'm sorry, God forgive me, men. I'm not coming at you, but let me just keep it real. There's a saying that men will sleep with anything. Do you get what I'm saying? So they're not necessarily some men. Sorry,
but then
I know it's a bit derogatory, but that's why I said don't judge me. Don't judge me. I'm just saying what the common phrases are.
Just based on what we've been talking about and looking at things, like collectively, I would also say that when men cheat, it's not just because they need something physical from a woman. It might lead to that, but sometimes it's because, for example, they feel like, I don't know, it's not valid, but they may feel like, my wife or my partner doesn't take care of themselves. She doesn't wear, she doesn't make herself smell nice, or when she talks in a place where there are other people, she talks like someone that doesn't have sense, or, since she had the kids, she's let herself go. She doesn't like to go out anymore. She doesn't like to be spontaneous anymore. I feel like it's whoever can meet his needs at that particular time, whatever needs they are, wherever there's a void, whoever it is that can fill up that void, that the man will just, again, make time for, flirt with the individual. It's a process, as we said before. And before you know it, wow, they've landed on the bed. That's why, again, I would say that the cheating doesn't start by the time they've landed on the bed and finished whatever it is that they came there to do. I would say it starts much earlier. And I think it's when you start allocating time and anything that you consider valuable to someone who could be considered as a rival of your wife or your partner. Personally, I think that's cheating. whether it is, again, going back to just flirting or just calling them specific names that you know is going to gas them up and make them feel like they're that girl, they're that chick. Like, why do it? Why can't you just call someone by their regular name, even if that is your character, you know, for the sake of your partner, you know?
Say it, girl. So Winnie, I'm gonna create the scenario, and maybe you just answer this for me. Like, your spouse is trolling a particular girl on social media, and
trolling,
just trolling, yeah,
haunting,
or stalking or trolling, because you know trolling is like gunning her down, telling her about herself.
No, not trolling. Anyway, I just used the wrong word there. So yeah, your spouse is always liking a particular girl's pictures. He's always commenting on a post, or from time to time, even if it's not all the time, he comments on the post from time to time. You always notice that he's watching her stories. By the way, he doesn't want to show you her phone, or his phone rather. Is that a problem to you? Is that considered cheating?
You know what the key word is for me that you said? He is his phone aspect. Is he hiding the activity? Because he can like well, that's just from my perspective. He can like any girl's picture he wants to, but if he's doing it in secret, that means he already knows that he's doing an act that's guilty.
Yeah.
And that
but
itself
the same
is
woman. What if he's liking a particular person's pictures more often?
Well, I think it depends. For me, what it depends on is my standard. If I say that, you know, this is what I will accept in the relationship, or I won't accept, and he goes against those things, then he's cheating, because everybody has different standards. But if you communicate them very clearly, and that person is either going behind your back to do it, or simply not respecting what you're saying, it is cheating, because you've already communicated that standard out there. But if you haven't communicated that standard, then he can't really be cheating. Well, for that act anyway, he can't really be cheating, because he doesn't really know at what level he should be operating on.
He knows, but he's trying to be smart. That's what it is.
Or that.
He's trying to get away with it. Maybe he doesn't think, he's not thinking about it leading to the bed, you know, but let's be real. We're mature. Like, I mean, fair enough, there are some people that are still, you know, growing and getting mature and learning about the kind of things that they can get away with and the kind of things that are harder to get away with. But the truth is, we all know when you are betraying someone, when you're cheating on someone, when you're intentionally holding information from an individual. We learn that at a young age. Even children know this, but I think it goes back to what you can get away with and what you might not be able to get away with.
Yep. And to be honest with you, though, and on the other side of things, though, which is where I'll challenge that a bit, is that some guys don't know. Though we can't assume that they know. You know, I think sometimes in relationships, we expect people to know. We just expect them to know because that's how you measure yourself. Sometimes we as women, we make that mistake too. We were like, I won't tolerate that, so I don't expect him to tolerate it, because I don't think you would make assumptions for him and say that I don't think he would tolerate me liking another guy's pictures too much, or watching another guy, or drooling over another guy, even though I've not done the physical act, or he won't tolerate me calling him boo or girl or hun or whatever. So we put that assumption on our spouse, and then we use that to measure ourselves. And so sometimes when it now goes the other way around, we now say to the guy, no, why are you doing that? Why are you liking her pictures? Why are you calling her boo? And he's like, hold on a second, what's wrong with that?
But Lady T, I will say, what kind of pictures are they? Because if the woman's leg is going like this and like this,
and one thing is up here, the other one is up there. Come on now.
If it's a WAP picture, I'm sorry.
Exactly.
Yes, indeed.
Exactly.
Sometimes it's different measures, and I think people have to talk in their relationships from the beginning in terms of what they will tolerate and what they will not tolerate, because sometimes we do make assumptions for each other. There are some women that don't mind. They don't mind how the guy refers to another woman, and there's some women, like Anders clearly said today, that won't have it. Like, if your partner was calling somebody a bae or
just so you know, the man that's out there,
you will not have it.
Yeah, and I mean, to be honest, it goes back to the question that someone asked about. What was it? Is collecting someone else's number considered as cheating? Well, what are you collecting it for? Are you it's a charity event, and they're inviting you and your wife to, you know, it's what kind of networking is this? Is she single, bodacious, and you're a married man, and you're talking about meeting up, just the two of you? That's I don't know, man. There are some things that we do for business that compromises our relationship, and I mean, we may not realize that till much later. I don't know, man. I don't know personally. If my partner was asked for their number from whoever, I don't even really care whether the person's attractive or not, because I'm not gonna wait for someone that comes along that's attractive before I start worrying. You know, I don't agree with, if you're in a relationship, I don't agree with giving your number out to other single females. That's my personal opinion. Yeah. If it's work related, then I think, you know, most people have a business line. They don't give out their personal number, or they have a work number, landline that's, you know, at the office. Ooh, I don't think it's appropriate to give out your personal number. On that.
And funny enough that you touched on that, because to be honest, one of the common places that cheating happens is actually at work, you know.
The work
exchange work numbers with their colleagues. It's quite common. Statistics have shown that cheating is usually with a colleague at work, because that's the kind of people that you see on a daily basis. That's the one you can cover up the most and use this as an excuse, because you're going to work. Your partner can't really track that or trace that. So it is a common one. But that's just by the wayside. I think I want to delve into the next third point anyway, as we're taking this up a notch. Another juicy one for everybody that we want to talk about. Now, if we say we're keeping it real and 100, we have to go deeper than deep. And there is a struggle that some relationships have. And I think a lot of people will relate to this. So tag people that need to hear this word. But there a key area that people struggle with that is commonly known for cheating is intimacy. And when I say intimacy, I'm talking about sexual intimacy and satisfaction in relationships. There are some marriages that have suffered that in that area because they're not getting the satisfaction that they need sexually, be it male or female. They end up seeking it outside. And sometimes people try to do all sorts of things and be all sorts of characteristics in the room, be it the twerker, be it the woman that dresses up for her man, and all sorts of fantasies and fetishness that the man or the woman wants to see in their relationship. Some women try their best, but sometimes their best is not enough, because there's always, unfortunately, that woman or that man that looks better than he or she's spouse. So we know, if we're being real to ourselves as women and men, this area is a serious red area. And when I say red area, a lot of people have faced this one way or the other, been cheated on in the physical. It could have been prevented. Sometimes it can't be prevented, you know, that the person goes out and sleeps with another spouse. So we want to delve in that. Now, that's where we come to the topic of pornography. You know, and I'm going to just touch on that. We wanted to always do it as a topic, but we're not going to do it as a topic. We just raise it here and talk about it very briefly. You know, pornography. Some people have allowed it and permitted their spouse to be able to watch, or to be allowed to watch pornography, because they know that they can't give their spouse the satisfaction that they desire of them. So they say, okay, since I can't give it to you, watch pornography then. You know, and then of course there's some people that do that in secret and their spouse have no clue about it. Is that cheating in your relationship?
Oh,
hell yeah!
Took it there.
Took it there. Took it, and we spoke about something.
I think it depends. It depends on your relationship. It depends on.
So Miss Rolo, open up the flow.
Yeah, I think it depends. So, for example, you know, if it's a very tricky one, Sha, because let me say, most people find out by chance that their partner's watching porn. It's not that you see what I'm saying? Like, most of the time, because it's done in secret, no one knows what's going on until one day you just find that, I don't know, you're on the computer and you want to go and search, you know, Amazon to buy a book. And then one of the tabs on the computer screen is xxx.com, something. And you're like, wait a second. And then you discover that your partner is watching porn. Now, how do you deal with that? I think it depends on your relationship. So, first of all, like, how close are you with that person? Do you guys talk about everything? Is that something you've even touched on before? Or is it something that you've both watched before as well. Do you see what I'm saying? So anyway, to deal with the question at hand, I think it will be considered cheating if it's something that you, one, do not accept as something that's part of your relationship, one. Two, it's considered cheating if it's done in secret, basically. Whereas on the flip side of that, flip mode, some relationships, they actually see that as part of creative sex or creative intimacy, you know. You have some partners who may watch porn together to, you know, spice things up in the relationship. And some women also may feel that, you know, him watching porn, so far as he's not physically cheating with a woman, that it's not actually cheating, he's just releasing. Or she's just releasing energy and things. So far as it's not with a physical, actual living human thing, then they may not necessarily see it as cheating, because they're just seeing it as something that, you know, it's like part of human nature. Sex is human nature, you know. But so they might be seeing it as like it's just a way for him to or her to just release that energy. And since I'm unable to help them do that, maybe because I've just lost my libido. There's some things that happen in relationships where people, when you generally first meet, you're all like rabbits, you know, you're humping left, right, and center, up and down, and it's like done 7 days a week. But as you start to progress into your relationship and you grow together and you see your face every single day and you've done all the sexual acts you could possibly do, sometimes, you know, people just get bored, or they lose their libido, they lose their attraction towards that person. And that's a problem in itself, but that problem is not being dealt with. And rather what's happening is they've gone their own individual ways to find fulfillment sexually. So I don't know whether when we look at all those kind of circumstances, can we say that all of those circumstances should be considered cheating? I don't know. I really can't answer that plain and simple. But what I will say personally is that it's different strokes for different folks. That's all I will say. Because what's acceptable in one relationship may not be acceptable in another one. So you as an individual, you as a woman, you as a man, you have to identify what kind of relationship you have. Is it one where you're very both, you know, understanding and free that, you know what, it's porn, innit? So long as it's not a physical person, you're not really cheating. Just gotta release your stuff and come back and let's face the world. Or are you the kind of person that's like, cheating is a no whatsoever, because it may not be physical, but obviously the fact that you're imagining this person, it's like an emotional, mental, kind of spiritual cheating that's going on, psychological one. So instead of me being the person to turn you on, you're getting turned on by another female, which means that am I not enough for you or something like that. So I won't say too much because I don't want to say everything that maybe you guys would want to say, but based on I'm just looking at it in both sides. I'm not picking one or the other, but I'm just looking at it in more of a dissecting different layers to see what could possibly be considered cheating in one scenario in comparison to another one is. So I'll open the floor.
Call me selfish or something before anybody else speaks. I'll just get my point of myself. But call me selfish, you know, call me direct. Me personally, I will speak from my own angle. Porn, as far as I'm concerned, is cheating, and it's a no-go. You know, even if our relationship was suffering sexually, I would not expect my spouse to turn to porn to give him satisfaction. And the reason why I say that is because I believe that is opening up a gateway for something deeper that I might not be able to get him out of. It's a very risky thing. I know sometimes people use it as a means of saving their relationship because, like you've rightly said, some people can't satisfy their spouse sexually anymore because they're just not up for having sex anymore for a period of time because of what their hormones changes happen, especially with women. Sometimes that happens. We go through phases, and men as well. No, not men, many women. But I still don't feel like it's a reason that's strong enough for the guy to now turn to porn as his savior. If anything, you better go into turn Jesus Christ and kneel on his knees.
Tell them.
Control his should I be graphic? Control his manhood. That's what I would say. You know, to control his things. Because the thing with the porn is that if he's watching that porn and he's getting soaked into it, remember, these are addictions that people struggle with as well. And you can become addicted to that thing, and you don't even know when you're becoming addicted to it, to the point that when you are ready as a woman to satisfy your partner, you will not be able to match up that satisfaction, because he's found a greater fetish or a greater fantasy that's taken the joy of what you guys could have had. So sometimes it's better the devil you do not know, you know, to avoid that area. It's difficult, and I can see why it's controversial, because obviously there's different people that have different partners, and people deal with things like this in the secret. You know, not many people will come out there and be open and honest and say that, you know what, I won't do that for my spouse. So it's up to him to do whatever he wants. And there's some people, which we know behind closed doors, that will say that I will do this for my spouse if it's going to save our relationship, you know, and that's why we're coming out and we're discussing these things. So I don't want to like say, no, you do not do this, you do not do that, and tell you what to do. But what I will tell you is my own personal opinion is that I personally won't have it anyway. But there are some women which I do understand will justify it for reasons best known to themselves to save their home or relationship.
I just want to throw in there, you know, before I move on, I have to go back to that comment that really made me laugh. Right then, husbands who will now come and want to test their fantasies on you. So I didn't read that actually, but that really tickled me.
Yeah,
and
but it's
before I get started, let me just put it out there. I'm not trying to get any guy that's interested in any porn, so I'll just put that out there first of all. Now, moving on, I'm just thinking, so, you know, maybe when you initially started your relationship with your wifey, you guys were doing it pun ceiling, pun the wall, pun everything, you know, possibly. And now, for some reason, I don't know, maybe she's had kids or whatever, but all of that has changed. And you're not able to, you know, do all those moves anymore or do it as often as you want to do anymore. So let's put things really into perspective now. So if we then fill that void with porn or virtual sex or whatever you want to call it, virtual things, then that's like saying if for some reason your spouse's legs stopped working, they're not able to do they're not able to mountain climb anymore, they're not able to do certain things anymore, do you then replace that person? Do you then continue to go on those journeys without that individual and leave them out of those memories and experiences? I think it goes a bit deeper than the things. And I think one of the things we need to realize about the things is that is not the be all and end all of relationships. There are some people who don't do the thing at all. So I think when you're in a relationship with someone and something happens where you're not able to do that natural thing, it's a discussion that needs to be had, and you need to talk about, well, how are you going to deal with it? How are you going to handle it? Is this going to cause a problem in our relationship? Rather than someone thinking it's okay to go downstairs at midnight, turn on the lamp and do whatever it is that they want to be doing with their laptop. The very fact that you feel you have to do it in secret, which we've already touched on, is cheating. That's anything that's been withheld. I mean, God forbid you marry the kind of guy that will now just whip out his laptop and whip out his things and just start doing it in front of you, whether you're there or not.
But you know what? Sorry, yeah, it is a secretive thing, but I have to say I kind of understand why it is, because it's, let's be honest, a lot of men are not taught to be expressive as we expect them to. So yes, you may be going through this lack of intimacy in your relationship, be it sexual intimacy. A lot of men are not vocal about their lack of intimacy. So like us women, you know, if we have an issue or problem, most times we talk about it, we bring it up with the man. We have no issue expressing ourselves. A lot of men have issues with that. And so what they would rather do is they'll find a way to deal with it, which may not be acceptable to us, like porn, for example, rather than actually saying, look, babe, this is what's going on in the relationship. This is how I'm feeling. A lot of men don't take that approach, which is probably why we're seeing more cheating with men than women, because they're not vocal about how their emotions. They're not, and I don't know whether it's because society, you know, makes men feel like, you know, if you're being emotional, then you're not being a man. Do you see what I'm saying? So they almost feel like they have to close their emotions in and deal with whatever is going on in their heads and their hearts internally, which results in them doing things that are not necessarily
They need
acceptable
to be
in a
more
relationship.
vocal. They need to be
Agreed.
more
Yeah.
vocal.
Agreed. But in
Honestly, guys,
reality,
I just. Oh, sorry.
Go on,
sorry,
Winnie.
Go ahead.
Go on,
No,
sorry.
let,
Yeah, go
let
ahead,
me
go ahead.
finish.
No.
No. Okay.
No,
So
yeah, go ahead.
I'm
done.
gonna keep it 100% real. 100% real. And the truth is that most men start their porn watching in their teenage years. So it has nothing. It has nothing to do with you not be performing in your marriage. It has nothing to do with the fact that you've taken a break from sex in your marriage. It has nothing to do with it. It's to do with the fact that they most likely have started this porn watching in their teenage years, and the porn industry is so heavily concentrated on the satisfaction of men.
True.
Why? But so you're
That
telling
one.
me that
That's
you're
the point right there.
in a relationship with a guy, and you want to spice things up in your marriage, right? But you're watching porn that's for his satisfaction and not yours.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's another way
So-
to look at it as well.
Not always the case though. Some women watch porn for their satisfaction as well. It's not necessarily for men. I mean, let's call a spade a spade. Like,
yeah, I'm
some
just
women
saying
enjoy
like the
sex.
majority. Yeah,
You're just saying
but the
what
majority
kind
of the porn that's actually out there is men being with either multiple
oriented
women, or
towards
it's
men.
for men.
It's oriented, yeah.
And
Yeah.
another thing as well is your guy. I'm on the side, obviously, that it's cheating, but your guy is watching a woman, and it's not a virtual person, you know. As in, it's not
It's a
an
real
anime.
individual.
It's a real person at the other side of the screen. And when he does because technically he's doing a sexual act with a woman, it's just the fact that he's using his own hand. But in his own mind, he's using the visualization of that woman. He's looking at
Not
her
you.
private areas, for example. He's storing a memory. He's storing a memory of this woman. And you're telling me that you have seen something that you get turned on by and never ever recall that again?
Of course you do.
It's stored in memory. You focus on that. And another thing as well, then explain to me, why is it that you're watching certain types of porn? Why do you look for certain types of women? Because I know that you're not going to go but
To
as
be
women.
honest, do you think as women we're looking at this too deeply? Like, I have a feeling, I could be wrong because obviously I'm not a man, but like I have a feeling that the way we are perceiving this is different to how men are. It would be so interesting to get a man's perspective of this, and I wish we did. But you know, you never know how
We have a man's perspective on it. Patrick said something.
Okay, just 1 minute
Patrick,
before
let me-
we read out
okay, yeah.
Patrick.
Yeah.
I just want to say that I feel like a lot of men who do watch porn, I don't think it's necessarily an emotional connection thing. It's not as deep as we're looking at it. They just want to release, and they want something that's going to make them calm quickly and move on with their day. That's how I understand it. I could be wrong, but that's how I understand it. Not to say that it is or isn't cheating. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I agree. But what you know, because for me, I was on the fence as well. I'll be totally honest, and it took me a while to really be concrete and say that this is cheating. But the reason why is because even when men cheat generally, like with a real person, like the whole touching of a physical person, they don't do it for emotional reasons. Sometimes they just do it for satisfaction too.
Yeah.
So what's the difference?
Just to release.
Just to release, yeah. So what's the
Exactly,
difference?
but I feel like to answer your question about what the difference is, I'm going to be devil's advocate here. I feel like the only difference with it being a physical person than a virtual person is that with a physical person, there's more of a risk or a chance or possibility that there could be an emotional attachment that could turn into more than something sexual and lead into a relationship. Whereas a virtual one, that person's in maybe LA somewhere, God knows the address that person lives at. Like, it's not going to happen. So I think that's what I'm just using to draw the comparison, is that with a virtual, it can't lead into anything more than it's just a sexual thing. Whereas with the physical person, yes, they're having sex. They could have sex over and over again. STDs could be transferred as well. There's that disease aspect of it as well. So that puts your life at threat and whoever else you're sleeping with. And then there's also that emotional fear as well, that person, he could actually start caring about, and then the emotional side starts kicking into it. So it seems like there's more to lose with it being a physical person than it being a virtual person.
So that
Just
I would
happens.
disagree. I would
makes
so
it
disagree
safe.
with that.
That
Only
makes it
reason
safe
why,
cheating, then. Oh,
is
sorry.
because, sorry about that. I just came in.
No,
Sorry.
go
Yeah.
ahead.
So one of the core reasons why is because you may not realize it as a woman, just because you cannot see the other person that your spouse is cheating with physically, you still end up becoming the victim, and you still end up becoming the enemy at some point. You still end up becoming that person, whether it's true or not, that stops him from having this fantasy relationship with this virtual being, whether it's even anime or not. You know, there was this weird
that's the
movie
thing,
I
it
watched
might
that I
not
have to share
necessarily
with
be-
you. So let me just
Sorry, go
finish.
ahead.
There was this weird movie I watched, really weird movie about these two guys that were childhood friends. I don't know if anyone's watched it before. And there's this game that they were playing that's like a virtual game where they feel everything that like sort of happens in the game. So if someone touches you in the game, you feel it on your actual skin, like it's that real. So these childhood friends, they started off playing this fighting game, you know, looked really cool. Then all of a sudden, they're both males, by the way. Then all of a sudden, my guy starts kissing the other guy. And then before you know it, they've gone on to do something, and they're doing another thing, and they're doing another thing, and it's all gone fully in there. You know, they're doing this thing virtually. One of the men is married. He's happily married. I think he has a kid. I can't quite remember. And the other one is single. Now, what started to happen is this odd relationship that they were having virtually started to cause, number one, problems between the two of them, because obviously they started to feel guilty. So when they saw each other in real life, it was really weird, and they both started to avoid each other. And of course, the guy that was married started to feel really bad because of his wife. You know, she hadn't done anything. He was literally just enjoying himself. But after a while, that other person that you're meant to be committed to somehow becomes the disturbance, the interruption, the one
Maybe you
who's
should
getting in the
spoil this
way.
film, you know? Don't say
You
too
know
much.
what?
I might want to watch it
I'm
later.
gonna leave it there. I'm gonna
Don't
leave
say
it
too
there.
much. Yeah.
But yeah, it's I think that even when
Apparently
you're
someone said it's called
invested in
Black Mirror.
something, I can't remember what it's called. Maybe, yeah, go check it
No,
out.
he's
By the
just
way, if
said
you
it.
can find
Patrick
it.
said it. I can see his comment. He's
Awesome.
mentioned it. That's why I want to watch it later. So
Good stuff.
don't
Okay, I'll
spoil it.
stop there
Don't
with that
spoil
one.
it.
But yeah, I think that if you're
Black Mirror.
if
All right,
you
Winnie, you were
become
trying to
sort
say
of
something as
addicted
well.
to, Ooh, can you hear me? Sorry, I'll just finish on
Yeah,
this.
and
If you
can
become
hear you.
Ooh.
We can
Okay,
hear
yes. Okay, let me finish. So if you become
Yeah, we
addicted
can
to
hear you now.
something,
Go
as
on, go
Lady
ahead,
T
sorry.
said, it's creating a gateway to something that could clearly be activated in your subconscious that you don't have control over. So your intentions initially may be, oh, let me just quickly, you know, whilst I can, and blah blah. I'm not cheating, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, making excuses essentially. But then after a while, like gambling, at first you start and you think, you know, I can control it. I'm only doing this and I'm only doing that.
Yes.
And some people quite all right are able to not be addicted, but to something as natural as doing the thing, that's like eating. That's like eating a certain type of food that you really, 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 really love, and like really not knowing how and when to stop, and thinking that it's going to be an easy thing to control. It really isn't. I mean, some of us can't even stop eating chocolate, you know. And you know, so I would say personally that even if you don't consider it as physical cheating, I think it can definitely have an impact on your relationship, and mostly negative.
And I don't think we always need to think about it as being an extreme of being an addiction, because there are cases where it doesn't lead to that. But the truth is that it's a safe way to cheat. It's a safe way to cheat because you have no attachments and you don't know this person from anywhere. And you're more than likely not going to get caught because you can delete your browsing history. So it's cheating, but it's cheating, but it's either that you convince your partner to go along. You convince your partner to go along with your sexual fantasies, or you do it in secret. You do it in secret and in a safe way.
I'm gonna sit on the fence for this one. That's just mine. I'm gonna sit on the fence. I'm not gonna say whether it is or isn't.
Yeah, I think it's just deeply personal. It's actually just deeply personal.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, time. Hey, I didn't know we spent so much time.
It's like I said, it's a secretive thing, and yeah, because of time, we're gonna have to obviously carry some of this into our next topic, which will be, guys, about single till married. So we're going to talk about those that believe that they are not with anybody, even if they're in a relationship or they're engaged, they are single until they're married, which will still carry over some of these things, because there is that perception and that mentality that some people have that, yes, I got a girlfriend, yes, I am engaged, but at the end of the day, because I haven't wifed her up, anything could happen. So I have the ability to talk to other women. I have the ability to talk to other men, because at the end of the day, until I walk down that aisle, I am not fully committed or exclusive. So Patrick said it is more dangerous way of cheating. He's talking about the pornography thing, and more deadly because it's more subtle. That's right. It seems innocent, and you can even get your partner involved in it, when really and truly both sides end up being damaged slowly without knowing. And to be honest, yes, that is the danger with the pornography side of things. As much as we try to cover it up and shield it, but at the end of the day, we still have to be real as well. We have to be real in the sense
flip side, on the flip side, I won't play devil's advocate again, because I'll keep it real. Okay. On the flip side, it could be quite good for your relationship too. It depends. If you're looking for more,
you get some swinging tips.
If you're looking for some tips, some tips to make it spicy, then it could be a good thing as well. You know, if you, I think the main thing for me is if, like, say you and your partner, like, your baby, let's spice things up. What can we do? Because the same way you go out and buy handcuffs and whipping things, and all these things. Yeah, it's a provocative nature. It can open other gateways as well. It can open other gateways that you don't know sexually that you're exploring. So I'm just being plain devil's advocate. It could also not be as dangerous, but at the same time, there's a risk, and I think that's what you're trying to say. There is that risk that it could become.
You're looking at it, which is really good. Yeah, so you're looking at it, which is really, really good, and I like the fact that we're all being open and honest here, and especially with Miss Rolo bringing that other twist into it, because in a real life perspective, and thankfully we're all behind screens and no one's giving us face to make us try and tweak our opinions. But if we're being real and open and honest, I feel that a lot of relationships will be facing this challenge simply because they cannot give their partner the satisfaction that they would have loved to give. Another thing is, how else are they going to learn some certain skills, which I think is what Miss Rolo is trying to say, in terms of satisfying their partner, which is the other flip side of things. How are you going to learn
I'm not saying always porn.
I'm
not saying always porn. I'm not saying that porn is the only way for you to learn. I'm just saying it can be used as a tool to spice things up, the same way when you go to Victoria's Secret and buy whips to beat your man in bed and he likes it. It's the same sort of thing. You see what I'm saying? But so far is so, you know, the leopard print handcuffs, the leopard print ones. I'm just saying, so far as it's done in a collective and agreeable way, then I don't see that as cheating. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, if you and your partner are saying, look, this is what we're doing, do you know what I mean? It's a bit dead. Let's do this. So you can't really consider porn a bad thing in that kind of scenario. Whereas, you know, I do agree with you. If it's a secretive kind of move, then it's very dark. It's very kind of like, what were you doing? Like, am I not attracted to you? I can see why it can be considered cheating. 100%.
Guys, can I ask you a question though? What about
honest, there's a lot of people. Sorry, guys. There's a lot of people that won't necessarily confess. You know, there's a lot of people that will not say that is what they do. You know, that's the truth about it. It is a very sensitive topic, and we're just trying to keep it real in here by talking about these things that people do and will face at some point in their marriage. So how are they going to deal with that lack of intimacy?
But
and when their partner now has to turn to that porn, are they going to see it as I'm being cheated on?
That's why I said it depends. It depends. For me personally, that's why I keep saying this. For me personally, I have to sit on the fence because there's different scenarios why people watch porn. If I just said people watch porn because there's a lack of sex, then it's not a fact, because people watch porn for different reasons. So to say that it's cheating because there's a lack of sex is incorrect, because that's not always the case for why people watch porn. There's different scenarios that we have to explore.
That's the big question.
I need to ask this question.
Is porn cheating?
I really need to ask this question.
I'm so sorry, but let's not digress completely. Let's bring it back to the main topic of this discussion, which is our actual title. Does that, so, you know, he cheated, but is it not my fault? Because I feel like we haven't kind of dealt with that. We kind of discussed around it, but we haven't actually dealt with that particular question. You know, he cheated or she cheated, and was it my fault? So I think we should end kind of on that note if we can wrap it up towards that. So we actually answer that question.
Yes, of course.
Just before we
he
answer that
cheated on you.
question,
So
if
that's
it's
what we're
okay.
talking about. So that's
I
what we
think
had to
Anders saying
delve.
something.
We had to delve a bit on the topic of
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a quick question, and it's still around cheating. This is one question that when I was preparing for this, because I was really thinking about it, these questions crossed my mind. So you can just pick anyone that you want to answer, So the first one is it okay to track your partner's movements with an app? Triumph touched on this before, to find out if they are cheating, to sort of where they're going. Another question is it okay to check your partner's phone if you suspect they are cheating? Another question, what is the right way to ask or address the situation if you think someone is cheating? And then the final question, if they haven't cheated yet, that's physically, but you've seen that they're making plans to meet someone, should you intervene to stop it from happening, or do you allow it to happen and hope that this guy will, not do it? So anyone you want to answer, I'm just throwing that out there.
Okay, Amanda, you just took all the questions and spun it out.
Just throwing it out there.
Which I guess comes to the summary of what is the right way to address the situation of cheating or suspected cheating, which was actually my last question. So I'm going to answer all of that in one of that as one. So I think for me personally, if if you're suspecting your partner or the person is cheating, and you guys have not spoken about it, then of course that's a problem on its own, because you're going to start feeling certain ways and doing things that are well out of line. For example, trying to track your partner's movements, trying to look at their phone to gather your evidences. I don't even know what for, all those kind of things. I personally have always been on the side of that in a relationship, there shouldn't have to be a password on a phone. Everybody should have free access to each person's phone. Your partner shouldn't have to go outside and answer a phone call. Why is he going outside for? What's she going outside for? What is this? What's the big secret that they don't want you to hear of? Unless they're planning to surprise you for their birthday. That's different. But, at the end of the day, why is your password secured? I mean, some women have actually trained themselves, and I've heard women say this before, that I don't need to look at my man's phone because what I don't know won't hurt me, or I need to trust my man in the aspect that, yes, even though his phone is password protected, I have to trust that that's him. He wants his phone password protected, and I don't necessarily have to know it. I think that woman's possibly in denial. But I personally feel that a relationship should be open. Everybody should be free to show whatever. When it comes to your electronics, your emails, you can answer your emails in front of your spouses. You can answer phone calls, texts, all sorts. It's not password protected. And even if it is password protected, you don't have a problem if your partner knows your password. Another thing as well, I think you were asking in terms of having an app. I'm sorry, even if your partner has cheated on you, obviously trust has been dented, but I do not feel that anybody has the right to be supervising somebody's life with an app and monitoring my movement. I will never have that.
CCTV.
You need to deal with your trust and unforgiveness issues. If you can't forgive and retrust me again, then why are we in this relationship? And of course, I understand, obviously, that comes with time, and that's a process of healing that obviously we need to touch on as well in terms of how do people heal and move on. But even in your time of being, needing that time to heal, I still don't expect you to be tracking my movements or monitoring my movements or putting a tracking device on the car or an app on my phone so that I'll be feeling somehow when I go out and I can't be myself. The last one that you asked as well, Amanda, was in regards to
if they haven't cheated yet, should you intervene to try physically? Should you intervene to try and stop it from happening, or should you allow it to happen?
Yes. So a lot of things that have been touched around that, and I think prevention is better than cure. So if you know that, for example, like we touched on social media and we said that our spouses might be liking somebody's pictures too much, or slightly DMing somebody and they're being a bit too friendly with each other, I'm sorry, you need to step it up and speak to your partner. I know some people get intimidated because they don't want to act like they're insecure, or they don't want to act like they're bringing trouble into their relationship because it hasn't actually got physical, so you start using that excuse. But prevention is better than cure, because nobody is blind. everybody knows what certain things can lead to. So if your spouse is getting a bit too comfortable with the opposite sex, they're having frequent conversations, for some reason this person feels that it's all right to call your spouse after 10 p.m. when you know it's you and his time, or after 8 p.m. and start laughing and hey, I just wanted to check on you. You know, it's been a while I've heard from you. Hope you're no, I'm sorry. You know, you need to put the nip in the bud and tell your partner.
Don't mess with her.
Your partner challenges you and says to you, what's wrong with you? Like, what's your involvement? We're just cool. We're just platonic. You know, and we're just friends. What's wrong with you? Like, you know her anyway. Yeah, I know her on the surface, but it seems like you know her deeper. So what's that about? You know, that kind of thing. So you have to put the nip in the bud. With that one as well. So prevention is better than cure in that aspect. Another thing with prevention, which is what I touched on with the phone thing as well, like if your partner's having a password, you need to know why that password is on that phone and why you can't have access. Because as far as I'm concerned, it's another means of keeping a secret. And there's certain things that the person doesn't want you to see on that phone, more than likely. So you need to put a nip in the bud in that side of things. So you do not allow the cheating, especially when you're seeing signs. And there's a strong word that people use, a women's intuition. Sometimes, yes, we do get it wrong, but that wrong is usually 5% wrong, 95% correct. 95% correct. So follow that intuition, because no, it's not your head playing with you. Because we always say, oh, is it my mind? Is it my head playing with me, playing tricks on me? Maybe I'm thinking about it too deeply. Maybe I'm being a bit too overprotective or over controlling, so I need to kick back. No, girl, something is wrong, because if you have to be questioning yourself or his moves or something that's not right about what you're doing or what he's doing, best believe something's up. And if it hasn't happened already, it's about to go down. So nip it in the bud. And unfortunately, men don't make it easy for women, and vice versa, because sometimes, yes, they like to be defensive when you confront them. They will get on the defensive side, and then a lot of women do get shut down because of that, which is sad. But I urge you women, take your stand and
fly the flag
down, for whatever reason. But that obviously centers around communication, and communication is paramount. It is key. Unfortunately, some people cannot get through to their spouses, no matter how they try. They can't get through it, even if they talk to them, because once again, the defense mechanism comes up like a big wall, and nobody wants to talk about it. And that person, more than once, more than likely knows that what they're doing is wrong. They know where it's heading towards, but they're enjoying the experience. Remember what I told you about being bored in relationships? They are enjoying the experience here. Sam, we are talking about the 95% of men, and not the 5% that you probably fall into. The 95% of men that are real to themselves, not the small percentage that my dear Samuel Ade falls into. We're talking about a huge number of generalized men in society that do fall into that category, unfortunately. So that's my stance on that side of things. So Winnie, what do you have to say about that?
To be honest with you, it depends on the relation. It depends on the relation. Well, the tracking device for me is an absolute no. I don't agree with that. I think that is wrong. I think that it's extreme, and it's just a classic case of controlling behavior, to be honest with you. To be honest with you, if you're going through that, you're in an abusive relationship, to be honest, and you just have to accept that and keep it moving. For the other ones, I would actually say it depends on what sort of relationship are you in? Are you in a marriage? Are you engaged? Are you just getting to know someone? Because someone that I'm dating and it hasn't been confirmed that we're anything yet, I don't know why they would need access to my phone, to be honest with you, because there's still a level of freedom there. For a marriage, I mean, I think that the password things and like the secrecy there, it's not called for. I think that it's the foundation of a marriage should be based off of trust. And I think part of that trust is, even though your guy is not going to go through your phone, why do you need to have these extra security measures for somebody that you share a bed with, that knows you in and out?
Sorry, look at the comment.
The
that
threw me off. What was the last one? What was the last question?
sorry, the last question. The last question.
Guys,
Right, the last question.
let's keep it moving.
The last question. If they haven't cheated yet,
Man, what was the last questions? So
yeah, if they haven't cheated yet, should you intervene or try and stop it from happening? Now, what I mean by that, really, let me just make this a bit clearer, is like, for example, you know that this guy is talking to another girl. You know that they're planning on meeting up. He's on his way. And you now stop at the door and you have a choice to make. You can either allow him to go and see if he will actually do it, or you stop and you say, look, babe, I know what you're going to do, mate. Don't do it. Do you do that?
In my honest opinion, you let him go ahead. You know why you let him go ahead? Because if you stop him, you will never really know the truth. You will never know. And you will always question, was the trust always there? Was he really going to do what he said he was going to do? Because I'm telling you, when people get caught in the act, they become the best liars. They become the best liars. And the only way that you can actually make a decision for yourself and for your marriage, I'm not saying girl walk, I'm saying you make a decision for yourself, is by knowing the truth. And by knowing the truth is allowing somebody to do what they want to do. Don't be a blockage, you know. If they want to go and be with someone else, let them go and be with somebody else. Because what you're doing is you're stopping them from doing the acts that they wanted to do in the beginning. They made that choice. And if they made that choice, then let them fulfill it. Now it's up to you how you deal with it. But if you stop him or you stop her, you will never really know what would have really gone down. And you would always question. So that's why I would say, just let him carry on. Just make sure you got the evidence. So if someone tries to manipulate you, if someone tries to manipulate you or gaslight you, you can say, no, I know what I'm talking about. And then you can make your decision off of that. But you can't make a decision off of something that you're not sure of or you don't know. Otherwise, it's just an assumption.
You see, I for me, that last question had me really, really thinking. And my first instinct was, you know what? If this guy can go as far as he's already gone, then this guy can already cheat. He's basically already cheated. You know, he's already gone out the window. But then I started to think. And I started to think about intervention. I started to also think about what I'm losing here. And I thought about what I can do to save or preserve our relationship if I really do believe in our relationship. Because it's going to be one thing or another. If I love him that much, he's going to cheat and I'm only going to take him back. So do I allow him to cheat and then now have to deal with the fact that he's now gone to lie in another woman's bed and they've gone and done somersaults or whatever? I mean, the details are not really important. Or do I say to this guy, whatever the approach is, hopefully non-confrontational. I wouldn't encourage any confrontation. We are adults. We should be able to express ourselves without getting all physical. But I would hope that I would be able to say to the guy, look, I know where you're going, you know, or I don't know how the best way to say it is, but don't do it. Or even somehow block the road. Like, for example, you know, the car has no petrol in or something. You can't go because there's a storm outside, you know, or, you know, just try. That's just my character, to be honest with you. I would try my best to save the relationship, because also, like Winnie said, he may go out and do it. And if you don't have your evidence, you'll come back and both of you will be shouting at each other. He will be denying it and you'll be telling him that he did it. And he'll be like, okay, prove it. And you can't even prove it. And then on top of that, you'll now have to take the guy back and you know he's gone out and done the thing. But because you can't prove it, you're now stuck with this guy. So I think for myself, just personally, I would try my best to be like, look, even if I don't say it in those exact words, like, I know what's going on. I really don't think that you should go to whatever business meeting. If I'm trying to remain, you know, coded, I'll tell him, I don't think you should go to this business meeting because of whatever. And depending on how he responds to that, then I'll know if he's a lost cause. But if he doesn't see the need in me at that point for him to stay home, depending on the reason I give, I don't know. But if he doesn't see it in me that actually she needs me and I'm going to choose her over that woman, then I don't know. Like, have I assisted him? Have I enabled him? Have I facilitated the cheating by knowing what he's going out to do and then letting him go and then coming back and fighting? I don't know.
I think a woman puts that guilt back on herself for doing that, because she's saying, oh, if I had done this, if I had intervened, then he wouldn't have done that. No, I'm telling you, when he was going on the phone to make those dinner reservations for two, these are premeditated acts, you know.
Yes,
these are premeditated acts. So
That's
you
right.
don't need to come and be his voice of reason. That's why he has God, you know.
But isn't that the course of your spouse as well? Especially if you're married, you do have to be your partner's voice of reason.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's your responsibility.
I want to hear Miss Rhoda, because she's got.
Miss Rhoda, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Sorry, I'm having some technical difficulties, but I'm on now.
We can catch your opinion.
I caught some of the end of what you were saying. I'm presuming you're talking about the tracking. Yeah, exactly.
Tracking, phone, passwords.
Yeah, tracking,
and
phone and
prevention
stuff.
better than cure. Trying to prevent them.
Yeah, so the tracking thing, I think every woman has done it. Not in terms of the app, but like once you become suspicious that your partner may be seeing another person or cheating, as we call it, we all go into detective mode as women.
But is that okay?
You know, as you mentioned. I think it is. Yes, it's natural. Like as a human being, we have our fears, we have insecurities, and sometimes we don't want it to be unjustified. We need something concrete to prove that what we're feeling isn't just nonsense. It's you know, it's not dumbfounded. It is what it is. You see what I'm saying? Like you need something to validate it. And so we go out there doing all these unnecessary. I mean, it's not really anything anyone can be proud of. No one's proud of it. But at the end of the day, you're human, right? So when you have these kind of intuitions, when you have these insecurities and you have these fears and your doubts, you need that to be substantiated somehow. So that's why we kind of go into, you know, our men's phone, or we go into detective mode to look for evidence to kind of substantiate our feelings or our claims that this guy is doing something. I know he is, because just catching him out on one situation, which may not be enough. But let's say, okay, he's messaged a girl and he sent her an emoji of a kiss. You know those images of a kiss.
Yes.
But you don't know nothing about this girl. You don't know how long they've been speaking for. You don't know, maybe it's his cousin. You don't know. So it's not from that point that you just be like, oh, this guy's cheating. No, that will just be like a red flag for you. So for you to really feel as if, okay, this person is definitely cheating or there's something more to this, you have to get some kind of evidence, and you kind of have to kind of track his moves, or, you know, I'm not saying it's something that we should be proud of, but it's something that is real, very real, and it's a natural thing for you to feel like, you know what, I need to explore this to substantiate my feelings of you know, of this being a red flag situation. So that would be my opinion about that. What was the other thing you said? Sorry.
Prevention. How
prevention?
Do you prevent, or do you just allow him do it? If you can see the signs.
Do you intervene? More specifically, do you intervene to stop it from happening?
I think most people would intervene. Whether be it man or woman, you would intervene. Now, the way you intervene is different for everyone. Some people's intervention is, you know, downright telling him, look, who's getting into his phone, as you do, pulling up the message and saying, who's this? And asking question upon question upon question, and interrogating him to the point where he feels like he's just committed a crime and he's been brought in by the police special forces to really pick at and get him to confess. Do you get? So 9 times out of 10, that's our intervention. That's an intervention in itself, actually, when you bring it, you know, when you bring it up and you directly ask him, who's this? Why are you doing this? Where were you? That's in a way, it's almost leading up to an intervention, because you're trying to discuss the matter to find a solution to it. Do you get? And you want him to confess and just be real and honest, so that you know what you're dealing with, whether it's something that you guys need help on, like, I don't know, it's counseling or whatever. But that, in a way, it's an intervention. You know, when they say like speaking about something is almost, it's like solving, it's like solving half the problem. Exactly. So I think that's what a lot of women do, is that we try to that's our way of firstly intervening about it, is speaking up and saying something. Not speaking up is a bad thing, because it's like you're giving him it's not like you're giving him permission, but it's almost like you're condoning that type of behavior, or the acts that he's doing, you're condoning it. Do you get what I'm saying? If you're not happy about something, the likelihood is you're going to speak up about it, even when it's at work. Do you get? You're being treated in a certain way that you're not happy about. You'll speak to someone. It may not necessarily be like your manager or whatever, but speaking about it is part of looking for a solution to prevent it from becoming more than what it should be. That kind of thing. Another form of intervention could just be like to holler at the girl. I know a lot of girls that have done that, where they don't even bother going to their man because they know their man's gonna lie. Most men are not gonna tell the truth. Let's be real. When you confront them, they're not gonna tell you, oh yeah, that's the girl I'm
Creative lies.
That's Shaniqua from next door. Yeah, I like her. I find her very sexually attractive. So yeah, on Tuesdays I go over there for a meal and dessert. Most men are not gonna do that. Do you get? So 9 times out of 10, us women, or some men, will have to go into detective mode to get them to the point where, okay, we don't so much need a confession because we've got enough evidence to prosecute you. Do you see what I'm saying? And to throw the book at you and give you your sentence. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's like it almost goes hand in hand. I don't necessarily think it's okay, but I understand it. Because that nobody should be put in those circumstances. No one should have to be put in this. It's not. So
do you think they should be?
About it.
Do you think that as a woman, would you intervene if you suspected that your guy was on, God forbid, of course, that your guy was on the way out and you knew where he was going? He was gonna do the things, as in they've booked the hotel. Do you love him enough, or do not love him enough to allow him to go and get him to prove his love to you?
Listen,
or do you stop it from happening? Sorry,
for me, it's not even about me loving him. I love myself enough to get to the bottom of the truth. I love myself enough to know that, you know what, if I knew he was going to meet this girl and he's telling me he's going for business lunch, and I know I've got so much confidence that where he's going is to be with this woman, I'm definitely gonna be like, you know what, you're not going anywhere. I'm gonna call such a kerfuffle that my man's gonna be. He probably will break down and say, you know, yeah, I'm not going anymore. That's just me. Definitely. But in saying that, it's hard, you know, because you can only do that if you know. But if you don't really know and you're like, it's possible you could actually be going to. Do you understand? You need something to make you feel like, you know what, I'm so confident that this is where you're going. That today we'll die here together.
Look at this comment, guys. This is jokes. I will let him go. He should do an AIDS/STD test after he's back. Then see the pastor for deliverance because he's not getting in bed with me.
But then some people
say it.
Some people will say that they'll let their man go. They'll let their man go, and to them, their man going and doing it is enough for them to say, "Oh, that's the end of the relationship."
Yeah,
because they've gotten to that point where it's like. Yeah, but you let him go because he was gone anyway. You get just not physically.
He was gone anyway.
So can we then say that once a cheater, always a cheater?
That's what the saying says.
I don't believe that.
Because if you can stop that guy from cheating at that point, what if you can actually save your relationship?
Well,
what if he starts to feel guilty? What if he asks you for forgiveness? What if he confesses?
I don't believe it doesn't take an individual to save a relationship. It takes two. So you cannot stop someone from being what they want to be or doing what they want to do. You can't really stop them. Let's say, okay, you stop them today, tomorrow, okay, or next month.
But what if he sees the light from that intervention?
You can't stop every situation. Okay, so
flip the coin. What if it was the woman that needed to go out? Should the man stop her?
This is the thing. Personally, and again, I'm just going by what I would do. I would try, if I really love the guy, because I would rather try and stop it from happening, and rather than being in denial later, know that he chose someone else after I showed him that I needed him to be at home, even whether I disclose the details or not. To me, that's again personal. I would see that as he chose her. And it's the same for a guy. If as a woman, you knew where you were going, your husband stops you at the door and he's got that look in his eye. You know that look because you lived with him for ages. There's something about him that shows you that he needs you tonight, and you know what you're going out to do. Maybe I watch too many movies, who knows? But I would imagine that as if there's any ounce of love that you have for this guy, you would reason and think, you know what? The truth is I'm going out to cheat on them. And as a woman as well, the truth is I'm going out to cheat on my man. And, you know, at that point in time, you can start making excuses. Well, he doesn't really care for me. Why is it only tonight? But then if you allow that to happen, or allow that person to go through that thought process, they then clearly, like without a shadow of a doubt, make that decision to choose that individual and cheat on you. That's just me. Maybe I'm so like prim and proper. I have to know.
And are you doing it for him? Are you doing
no,
it for
come
him
on now.
Or are you doing it for yourself?
Myself.
Exactly.
For myself, because I need to know that's how much he really loves me, whether he really loves me, whether he really chose me. Because to me, that's what it boils down to at the end of the day.
Because a guy cheats, we can't. He doesn't love you.
Yeah.
This is the point. But this is the point. But we then create a situation whereby he has to choose who he wants. For me, again, do you want half or do you want me?
He's chosen you. Let's say, okay, he's chosen you. He's married to you.
But that night, is he going to pass up that romantic evening?
Ladies.
Oh, sorry. Okay,
sorry.
No, it's a good one. I just wanted to draw us to two comments that people shared. Elizabeth and Patrick shared a very interesting one that still ties down to what we're discussing, and I don't want us to sweep it by. I mean, Patrick said, I know a story of a wife who packed a box of condoms in her husband's suitcase when he was secretly planning a fake work trip, when it wasn't really a weekend away with another woman. The wife found out about it and gave out the condoms in the suitcase and made the man change his plans and cancel the trip, if I got that correct. I mean, Elizabeth also pointed out same kind of thing. I also hear some women put condoms in their husband's pockets so they don't get STDs. You know what I said before about women not being able to confront their partners because of being on the defensive, not wanting to argue, maybe because they don't like fighting or they just want peace to reign. So sometimes they even help their partners. They will put the stuff in the bag. All right, at least so I don't get STD. If you're going to cheat, fine, I can't stop you from cheating. Because some people have that mentality. I can't stop you from cheating if you're going to cheat. But at least if you're going to cheat safely. Because at the end of the day, he's going to come back and he's still going to sleep with you. He will come back and sleep with you. You know, his wife, you know, or his girlfriend or whatever. He will come back and he will sleep with you. So are you going to say to him, don't sleep with me? I know you've been touching someone else. But how do you 100% know? Right now, you're going on your intuition. You have not gathered your concrete evidence. It's like what you were saying about, you know that he's going out the door to meet someone, but you've not gathered your concrete evidence. So as a woman, maybe he's going on a work trip, he's told you, or he's going on a business trip. You've now had to go and play safe because at the end of the day, what you don't want him to do, again, is come back home, sleep with you with your uncertainty, and then you catch an STD. Oh. Women do these things. Look at everyone was like,
nah, fam. I don't think so, man. I don't think that you should ever put yourself in that. How are you doing that? That's like if you know your son goes out to kill people, it's now make sure that you now sharpen the knife, the blade that you know he carries with him, and pack it neatly inside his, you know, those satchels that they like to carry. You know, pack it, polish it, and package it there neatly so that if he needs to kill anyone, you now at least he can do, at least the blade is sharp enough. I don't think so, mate.
For me, when you're doing that, it's like saying, okay, you know, the whole topic of our discussion is he cheated, but it's my fault. I feel like in that situation, it is your fault because you're kind of like, you're kind of helping him cheat. You're helping him cheat.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of get the mentality behind it, which would probably be, I mean, I don't agree with it, but I get that, you know, they're just thinking, you know what, there's nothing I can do. This guy's going to cheat too. But last, you know, if he's cheating, at least let him not carry disease back. Which means, in a way, you're kind of indirectly supporting him to do that. And you're saying that cheating is not enough for you to leave the relationship or to seek help. That's what it's saying to me, is that, you know, some women are probably in acceptance and are fine with their men cheating. If they're putting condoms in his bag, they're okay with it. That's how I understand it. Because no one in their right mind, no one in their right mind is gonna support something that they're not in agreement with. So for you to do that and put condoms in a way, it's like you're saying, oh, okay, let him do his thing, but just don't bring disease back to me. You're indirectly, giving him a pass. You're indirectly giving him a pass. That one.
And then, like, we've been trying to get to now, because we've talked about all of these scenarios and what cheating is, what it looks like, and blah blah. Now, how is an individual ever at fault if their spouse cheats? Now, you touched on it before, where, for example, if you're packing the CDs and placing them in his bag, basically allowing him to be prepared and, to perform at his best, or whatever way you want to look at it. But how then do we look at another situation or other situations and identify whether or not someone can actually be at fault for their partner cheating? Is an individual ever at fault for their partner cheating? Can we ever say that actually you contributed to this happening, you are at fault? Can we actually really say that?
That's a good point. That's a good question. In my opinion, I'll keep it short because I know we're kind of like stretched for time. But in my opinion, I have difficulty accepting that anyone is to blame for somebody else cheating, because apart from obviously the CDs, when you're putting it in his bag, that's the only area where I can say, you know what, you're enabling that behavior or you're condoning it. You know, other than that, I don't think it's anyone's to blame for someone cheating, because it's an individual's decision to do that. That's my opinion. It's an individual it's an individual's choice and decision to go out and cheat, irrespective of the circumstances. I'm sure there's loads of circumstances why people go and cheat, but I don't think a fault should lie on the other person, because you did not discuss with that person or tell them that you're going to cheat and they said yes, that's okay. You didn't get consent from them, and so since you made your decision on your own, and as an individual you chose to go and cheat, how can you blame somebody else for your own choice?
Exactly.
How can you blame somebody else for your own decision? I can understand that there may be things that person does, or there may be things in your relationship that you're not happy with that may want you to consider making those decisions. But at the end of the day, those were your choices. Those were your decisions to deal with your issues in your relationship that way. That was your choice. That was your decision. So we cannot be here blaming people for the choices and decisions you made. That's like, okay, you went to school, you studied, you graduated, now you said, okay, I want to become a lawyer, and that didn't work. Are you going to blame people for those decisions? People that are in your life that's maybe supported you or didn't support you, are you going to blame them for why you're a failure as a lawyer? No, you have to take that bullet on your own, because we're all individuals here. So that's my take on it. I don't believe that anyone should be made to feel that they're the reason why their partner cheated, unless they discussed it with you and they said, listen, I want a side chick or side ting or concubine, and you were saying, okay, and then later on you found out that you couldn't take it, because some of these women or some of these men allow their spouses to have side tings, and then when the side ting now becomes emotionally more than what they expected,
number two,
they now start to get upset, but then you co-signed it. So in a way,
even with that though, even if your partner permits it, you still can't blame the reason for cheating on that person. Just because you permit something or you don't have a problem with it doesn't now mean that the other person, knowing that it's wrong, should now go ahead and do it.
Well, let me explain what I'm trying to say here, because I've heard of circumstances where people have open relationships and they allow their partners to go and have their own thing, so long as you, this is the saying I heard before, you need to keep your chicks in place. You need to keep them in place, let them know their position in it. So if I was in their position, I'm okay with you having other girls, but they can't step to me because I'm the main one. Do you understand? So, but you can have your sightings, but they must know their place. Do you get what I'm saying? But the danger with that is that, okay, fine, you're saying that you're in a sort of an open relationship and you have these sightings, they should not contact you because you're the main, you're the head bitch in charge. God, sorry, excuse me for my. But what these women don't realize is it's a risky game, because yes, maybe to some people, sex is not considered necessarily cheating, but to them, if the man starts getting attracted or attached to that other sighting emotionally, then they start taking it more seriously. That's cheating. Do you get what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, I'm just putting a spin on the works. But yeah, it is a very confusing thing, but it's a reality thing. People are actually in these circumstances, and you'd be surprised. You'd be very surprised.
It is. I mean, we 100% need a part 2 in this. I think
Honestly,
because there's some areas we have not covered, and we've spent quite a bit of time. I mean, I still want us to talk about healing from cheating, you know. But
Yeah,
if I
that's so
open that can of
important.
worms, we're going to be here for a while. Healing from cheating, advice on, you know, how do people heal that have stayed? How are people healing from moving on from cheating? You know, so we need to address that as well. And then we also need to look at what is the right way to address the situation of cheating, which is kind of what we were tackling now. But how do you address a partner that is actually cheating? How do you speak to them? We're going to need quite a few parts.
Honestly, Patrick said it.
Yeah, and a part 3. But one of my main questions that I'm going to ask, and I think we might have to deal with that as well, is, you know, the levels of cheating and being forgiven or tolerated in stages of relationships. Because obviously we know that there are people that have relationship of boyfriend and girlfriend, which is where you're getting to know yourselves. You're now engaged, and then you're married. And I believe that there are different levels to these things personally, and I'm sure some people will agree. You can prevent it by obviously saying, I'm not going to marry that person because he's cheated on me while I was a boyfriend and a girlfriend, so he's likely to cheat on me in marriage. But then there's some people that don't see that. And there's some people that have seen that and they've chosen to forgive because it just happened once or twice. Then there's people that now go into engagement, and then it happens while they're engaged. And then there's the next level of going into it when you're married. When do you now say that, you know what, enough is enough? We need to have that divorce. Are you going to now say you're going to divorce your partner because of one time that he cheated on you or she cheated on him? Or are you going to say, no, because he's my husband, I have to forgive him? I may not be able to forgive him as a boyfriend because I can let go of that thing and try somebody else. But as a husband who's chosen to commit till death do us part, how long do you need to stick around for before you're like, no, enough is enough? Because I feel that this is the real challenge. Where's the tolerance? Where's the stop? Or are women or men supposed to be like, once bitten, twice shy? I'm out on the number one.
It's a tough one, you know. I think it depends, you know.
Is that a wrap up?
Yeah, we're wrapping up on this one. Yeah.
Okay.
That's my wrap up bonus question. That's the last one I want to do. Then we can tackle the rest later.
Again,
I think it's
for me. Sorry. Oh, okay, yeah. So again, it goes back to what I said before. I think it really depends on how much you love that individual and how much you want to be with that individual. Just like I said before about the intervention. If I really love that person and I actually saw this person as someone who I wanted to spend the rest of my life with, and the whole cheating thing is something that can happen. A man can cheat, a woman can cheat, anyone can cheat. But, you know, I would hope for the best and try and intervene. So again, with this, if I really, really did love the person, it doesn't matter what stage of the relationship that we're at, I would try and prevent the cheating from happening if I have any knowledge of it. And then if they actually did cheat, depending on how we deal with it as a couple, I would then know whether to stay in the relationship or move on. Because I think at the very point that a guy is able to clearly show you, or a partner is able to clearly show you that they don't love you, they don't respect you, they don't care how you feel, whether they've been caught in the red or not, doesn't really matter. They're just holding you along as an accessory, or just a woman or a man that's in their life, or they're just trying to make it look pretty that they've got this nice, happy family when really that isn't the case. Yeah, if it isn't, if you can't show me that, then I cannot stay with him, whether it's boyfriend, and whether we're engaged, or whether we're married. Even in marriage, I'd be quite happy to divorce my my husband if he clearly shows me he doesn't care about me and he's willing to cheat with any Tom, Dick, Harry, or Sally.
Harry, Sally. Miss Rolo, are there levels to this thing?
There's levels to everything in life. That's what's up. You know, as the Bible says, when I was a child, I thought like a child. I behaved like a child. When I became a man, I put all those childish things away. So there's levels to everything in life. And I feel like when you're in a relationship with your girlfriend and boyfriend, that cheating thing is there's not so much that can be lost. It's almost like, you know, it's still like there's not so much commitment in terms of what you have to lose together. So for example, your boyfriend and girlfriend, there's nothing in you guys' names, there's no children, there's no properties, you know, families are not tied.
That's right.
You're still at a stage where it's easy to walk away. So say for example, if you're you know, you're with someone and he's a cheater, yeah, it's easier, sorry, I should say, easier to walk away. because there's not much time you together. So, but in comparison, like, if you're married, it's harder to make that decision to say, okay, that one time that you cheated, I'm bouncing. Whereas when you're in a boyfriend girlfriend relationship, it's easier to make that decision. One time cheat, strikes out. I'm not even going to wait for 3 strikes, you're out. It's easier to take that approach. Once you're married, it's a lot of entanglement because finances are mixed in, children are mixed in. The impact of that decision to leave is so much more profound when you're married, because you're not just having to think about yourself when you're leaving. You have to think about your kids as well. Like, you know, what does that mean, leaving? Does it mean that they still see their father, or does it mean that they don't? Or how do you work out co-parenting? How do you split up properties, money, shares, whatever it is? You see, it's a lot more. It's a lot more to lose, but at the same time, it could be a lot more to gain. But the process in itself is just stressful. It's tiring. So I think a lot of women, they give or men, they may give their partner a pass on the first cheat because it's probably easier to deal with than going through a divorce. It could be. I'm not saying that's a fact, but it could be that a lot of people get a pass on the first cheat, maybe based on those areas. Or the second and the third one, if it's something that's like a continuous habit, continuous cycle of cheating and abuse and disrespect, I don't think a lot of people could deal with that. I don't think a lot of people can do that type of abuse, because then it becomes an abusive pattern. Whereas when it's like a first thing, yes, it's wrong, no question of a doubt. And in fact, if you wanted to leave on that first one, you could. It's up to you. But I think a lot of people get a pass on the first one. I think a lot of people do. But when it becomes a habit and it's habitual, it's constant degradation, I think a lot of people would leave on the second and the third or the fourth, depending on who you are. But no, just to sum up, there are levels to it, and I think what you can get away with in a boyfriend and girlfriend relationship, you cannot always get away with in a marriage. In terms of cheating, you can't. There's levels to this. There's too much to lose in a marriage.
That's right.
So there's more tolerance, I guess.
That's right. So thank you for that. Thank you, ladies, for your contribution. I think we're coming to a close.
Yes,
we're only
sir.
coming to a close because we don't want to take too much of everybody's time that has come on to watch the show. Plus, we want to keep you engaged and a bit of suspense for the next one, which is single till married, and still covering the aspects of cheating, even in that topic as well. So things that we could not cover, we will definitely be covering the next time, because cheating doesn't just end like that. We've got, as you can see, we're very passionate about it. There's a lot to say, still a lot of grey areas, still a lot of controversial questions that need answering. And of course, the biggest aspect of it is actually healing if you're going through that already, or if you feel you're going to end up going through it, suspected cheater, and whatever the case is. So we will be back in 2 weeks' time, and we will be looking at single till married. Tell someone to tell a friend. And when I say single till married, for those that did not hear before, we will be talking about those people that are in relationships and feel that they are exclusive or committed to a boyfriend or a girlfriend, or are engaged, but they're not necessarily married. Do they now have 100% rights to that partner? Or does that partner still have the right to shop around? Because at the end of the day, he's not 100% committed to you yet, especially if he's not married to you, or she is not 100% committed to you. So guys, without further ado, we will round up and we will talk about that next week. Oh, not next week, week after, sorry. 4 girlfriends to 1 man. 4 boyfriends to 1 woman. And they're all
potentials, as we like to call them.
Okay. She ain't married, he ain't married. Stay tuned, guys. We'll be discussing that in our next show in 2 weeks' time. So thank you so much.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you, men.
We always try and keep it juicy for you. We always try and keep it real for you. So for those that did not watch most of this, go back to the beginning and you can do a replay. You'll see we tackle some interesting things that people don't necessarily want to talk about, but because they like to keep secrets. But yeah, we brought it out to the surface, and we're going to bring more to the surface. So stay tuned. Girl Say It has it outright for you.
Yes, we love you guys, man. You guys are awesome. We love it. Have a good evening.
Keep it locked.
Take care.
Bye.
Take care. Stay blessed.
Bye.